made from oil in the Middle East, processed in Asia, and filled somewhere in Europe. This plastic bottle has traveled more than many people in their entire life, just to end up here on the floor alone. And this is not about the bottle, it's also the perfect symbol of Europe today, deeply connected, but highly depending on other continents. And now is the time we need to ask ourselves, do we want to stay dependent, or do we want to live in a Europe that can stand on its own feet again? My name is Peter, I love Europe, I'm an entrepreneur. For the last decade, I've been working in the refurbishment industry with one simple dream: to give products a second life. A few months ago, something magical happened. My son, Lorenzo, was born, and this gave me even more drive, even more urgency for my cause, which is not just to build a successful business, but to do my part in building a future that is worth living, a future that is worth living in a Europe that is happy, healthy, and independent. And today, I want to show you what the simplest path to that independence is. It's not by closing ourselves off. It's not about building huge walls. It's by embracing the circular economy. Circularity means independence. Circularity means independence by using and keeping what we already have in the circle. So what's this independence I'm talking about? Europe is the single most resource-dependent continent on Earth. We import more than 2/3 of our plastic, more than 80% of our metals, more than 90% of our fossil fuels. There's an even more extreme example in manufacturing. And I want to use that example today to showcase how this looks like. And I need your help for that. So I ask you all, can you please take out your smartphones? Show me your smartphones. Raise your hands with your smartphones. Now, take a look around. A lot of smartphones raised. Great, okay. And now, everyone with an Apple iPhone, lower your arm, not produced in Europe. Everyone with a Samsung, lower your arm, not produced in Europe. Everyone with a Google, Xiaomi, Huawei, OnePlus, Oppo, Vivo, lower your arm, not produced in Europe. Not a single mainstream smartphone is being produced in Europe. And this is how dependent we are. But wait a second, that's not news. We know all of that. And for some reason, we're okay with it. We're okay with spending more than 400 billion euros every year on imports for materials, for fossil fuels. This is 400 billion euros we could be spending on European innovation instead, to build a future, to ensure a bright future for Europe that's worth living. And the key to that bright future, it's not coming from the ground, it's not by producing new stuff, it's by keeping what we already have in the circle. How do we do that? 3 steps: reuse, repair, recycle. Step number 1, reuse. And this is where all of us can contribute. All around us in our daily lives is sleeping value. Think of the phones in your drawers, the bikes in our garage, the furniture in our basement. Products we once loved, that we used, that we somehow forget about, and then most of them will unfortunately end up on landfills, with all their value being lost. And that's the worst case. What we could do is sell them secondhand, give them to our friends and family, or what we do in the refurbishment industry, we give them a second life. With every phone, laptop, and tablet that we refurbish, we keep independence and value alive in Europe. And if we would actually refurbish every single electronic device in Europe at least once, we could stop importing electronics for many years. And what's fascinating is that once people try refurbished, they change. I always like to talk to our customers. A few months ago, I talked to a customer called Sophia. She has 2 kids. She's from the beautiful city of Vienna. And she told me by now she buys all her electronics refurbished for herself, for her kids, and for her family. Her kids love it because it's sustainable. She loves it because she saves money. And at the end of the conversation, she said something that really struck me. She said, Peter, it just feels right. And this is how independence starts, with millions of individual choices that just feel right, by keeping the things we already have in the circle. Step number 2, repair. And this is where our governments have to move faster. For way too long, we simply made it uneconomical to repair. Labor is expensive, it's highly taxed, imports are cheap. It's simply easier for most of us to replace than to repair. And again, this is not news, we all know it. Just a quick show of hands, who has ever tried to or wanted to repair a washing machine or fridge or a dishwasher? Very good, many of us, that's great. And then who thought the cost of it was very surprising, or to say the least, very shockingly high? Almost everyone. It's simply too expensive to repair. And we need to change that. The good news is we can. We already have right to repair rules rolled out across Europe. We have designers create products that are meant to be opened and not glued shut. And we have countries like Sweden that actually reduce VAT on repairs. Great first steps, but we have to move further, we have to go faster, because every time we fix instead of import, screw by screw, we keep value and independence alive in Europe and in the circle. Step number 3, recycling. High quality and efficient recycling is where businesses and innovators have to step up. And I want to start this section with telling you a secret. We've done research together with the Fraunhofer Institute, and we found huge and untouched mines all across Europe. Urban mines. Precious materials not in the ground, but in our cities, in our landfills, and at home in that one drawer where we put all the stuff we don't need anymore. And what's fascinating is that all of us in those drawers, we have little gold mines. Because those drawers, they're full of gold. We found that more than 600 million used smartphones are in drawers across Europe. 600 million. And what's even more fascinating is that we realized that in a ton of smartphone is more gold than in a ton of gold ore. There's more gold in a ton of smartphone than a ton of gold ore. And so, while there's obviously a lot more other material and rare earth in smartphone, if you could just get all the gold out of those phones, we could actually create millions of wedding rings. And that's a lot of rings. And while I obviously hope I will only need one in my life, I'm not saying this because my amazing wife is in the audience, it's good to know that for other couples, there's still a lot of gold left. And recycling is really where innovators, businesses need to come together and step up. And there are a lot of innovators in Europe that already see the riches of our urban mines. There's, for example, in Germany, the Dusenfeld methodology, which enables recovery of up to 90% of lithium and cobalt from batteries. In Austria, OMV, the oil giant, created a new process called ReOil, where they take used plastic to transform it back into oil. And is this science fiction? No, it's already here and now. And with the EU Raw Materials Act, we aim to increase local recovery rates from 10 to 40% by 2030, which again is a great start, but we have to move fast and we have to move further, because in the future, we're not going to dig our economies out of the ground. We'll build them from what's already here, what's already in the circle. And of course, that's not going to be easy. Reusing means changing consumer behavior. We need to make it much easier for people to buy and sell secondhand. Repair means we need to change how we create products and how our tax systems work. It needs to become much cheaper to repair. And recycling means rebuilding entire industries. We need to create new from old. This will take courage, this will take creativity, and this will take effort. Effort from businesses, governments, and from all of us here in the room and at home on the screen. But it will be worth it. It will be so worth it, because every time we take a step towards the circular economy, we make Europe stronger, greener, and more independent. So the next time you see something old, like a plastic bottle or an old smartphone, don't just see waste, see potential. And I want to ask all of you for one thing today, just one thing. When you get home tonight, open those drawers, see the potential for yourselves, and give at least your smartphones a second life. Because if we all reuse what we have, repair what we can, and recycle what remains, we not just make Europe stronger, we make it more sustainable, we'll create millions of jobs, we'll be the world leader in circular economy, and we'll drive humanity towards a future that's worth living. And one day, when my son and all of our children grow up, they live in a world where everything and every one of us belong in the... Thank you.